I finally did my makeup, a full face of makeup, for the first time in a long time, and I just took a shower and washed my hair, but I'm gonna be really honest with you guys, I don't feel like doing my hair. So we're just gonna be half put together in this video, and you know what? That's okay, because you know what? 50% is better than 0%. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kelly, and for today's video we are going to be doing my September reading wrap-up. I read 10 books in the month of September, and I know I said this in my last video, but I'm so proud of myself and I'm gonna brag about it. I finished my September TBR. I read every single book for the first time ever. Can I get a round of applause? I'm so proud of myself. But yeah, let's talk about the 10 books that I read in the month of September. But first, I've been adding in my statistics, so let's talk about those. Like I said, we read 10 books, which was 4,123 pages. I read 3 physical books, 4 ebooks, and 3 audiobooks, and I didn't do any rereads this month. I will also have on the screen how many books from each genre I read this month, because that's also something that I want to start adding in these videos. And without further ado, I'm going to stop rambling. Let's get into the 10 books that I read in September. Oh wait, guys, I cannot forget to crack open a cold one. I have my Alani Pink Slush, which is my favorite flavor ever. I hope that they keep these around forever. Let's open her up. We need a little bit of energy for this video because I'm feeling quite tired today. Cheers, guys. So good. So good. This is by far the best flavor.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
So I started out the month with Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I've never read anything by this author before, and I've heard such amazing things about this book. People have said that this is one of their favorite romances ever. So I had really high hopes going into this book, and let me just say it exceeded every single one. I loved this book so much. But basically you are following Win and Bo, and they end up meeting at a Halloween party, and they end up hooking up, and then Win finds out that she is pregnant with his child, and it just goes from there. And I loved their dynamic so much. One of the things that I really liked about this is they became really good friends first, and I love when books do this because it just sets up their dynamic and it makes their relationship even stronger, and I loved both of them so much. This book just constantly had me smiling and laughing, and it was just such a cute read. I really related to the female main character, Win, because she is very independent. She likes doing things on her own. She hates asking people for help, and I am the same way. So I really saw myself in her. And this book was just so cute. They were such a wholesome couple, and I just loved their bond and their relationship so much. I want to read you guys a quote in this book that I really loved. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. You've seen me, understood me like I've never been understood, and I see you now too. I see how truly lovely you are. More importantly, I believe it. With everything inside me, I believe you're going to be gentle with my heart. So I rated this book 4.5 stars. I really loved it. And I cannot wait to read more books from this author because I really enjoyed her writing. Next, I read The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. If you read this, I highly recommend listening to the audiobook. I think the narrator did an amazing job. But you are following June Farrow, and there is this curse that happens, like runs in her family, and June is experiencing some of like these side effects that she's heard of from her other family members of when they started to get this curse on them, and it goes from there. I don't want to say too much because I honestly think you should go into this book blind. I really liked this. There is magical realism in this book, which I'm starting to realize that I really love magical realism in books. It just makes them so fun. And I gave this book 4.75. It was so close to being a 5-star. I just don't think it gave me that 5-star feeling. But I ate this book up. I think I read this book in like a day and a half. It was so good. And I was definitely tearing up towards the end of the book. And I will say, it does switch like timelines, and it does get a little bit confusing in the beginning. But once you continue on, it starts to make sense. And once it does, this book was just phenomenal. I really recommend this book to anybody. And I don't know, definitely one of my favorites, and the cover is gorgeous. Next, I read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, I've had this book on my TBR for a long time, and I feel like this trilogy has a lot of mixed reviews. People either love it or hate it. So far, I think I'm in the middle. I didn't hate this book. I was intrigued. I will say a lot of people go into this book thinking that it's a romantasy, and there is a subtle little itty bitty romance plot. It's nothing big. It is more political, more fantasy. So I feel like a lot of people go into this book with that expectation that it's a romantasy, and it's really not. But you are following Jude, and she is a human, and she ends up getting taken from her, like her family gets killed, and, well, her parents. And they end up taking her into this fae world, and they're human, her and her siblings. And it just goes from there, and I don't know. I really enjoyed this book. I was interested. It wasn't my favorite fantasy I've ever read, but I really did enjoy it. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I actually just finished the second one, and I will say I did like that book better than this one. But I still really liked this book, and I do recommend it if you just go into it knowing that it's not a romantasy. Also, if you hear my parents or my brother, I apologize. Next, I read Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I went into this book a little bit nervous because I read Wild Love a couple months ago, and I did not like that book. So I was a little bit scared going into this one. I kind of thought that I was going to be meh, and I wasn't really going to like it. I am pleasantly surprised. I actually really loved this book. I will say, if you liked Reckless by Elsie Silver, I think you will really love this book. I saw a lot of the female main character, Skylar. She reminded me a lot of Winter from Reckless, and I loved her in West, so that's who this book is following. Skylar is a singer, and West is a single dad. Actually, all of the books in this series are going to be single dad, and she ends up wanting to get away from her life for a little bit. So she comes there, and she ends up meeting West and his kids. And I just loved their bond so much. And West is very outgoing. He's very, I would say she's more grumpy and he's more sunshine. And I just loved that. And this cover is so cute. This cover is definitely giving me like fall vibes. But I gave this book 4.25. I really, really liked this book. And there are some quotes in here and like some things that the MMC would say to the female main character that just had me blushing. So I liked this book a lot. Next, I read Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. This is the second book in the Beartown series. I absolutely sobbed my eyes out reading this book. This book put me through the ringer, and I just bought the third book, The Winners, and I'm putting that book off for a little bit because I've just seen people absolutely bawling their eyes out reading that book, and I'm so scared for it. This book broke my heart, you guys. I love these characters so, so, so much. And, this book was just everything that I wanted to be and more. I can't say too much because it is the second book in a series. But I will say that I liked this book. I did like the first one too. But this book, so good. So, so, so good. 5 stars. Please read this trilogy if you haven't already. I will be reading everything that Frederick Bachman has ever came out with because I love his writing so much. Next, I read... Oh, wait. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm going in the right order. Next, I read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. You are following Vanessa, and she ends up being an agent slash housekeeper for this famous football player named Aiden. And Aiden is grumpy. He doesn't really say a lot. He's kind of mean. And so Vanessa ends up getting fed up with his shit and she quits. And then one day Aiden ends up driving to her house and he tells her that he is losing his visa and because he's from Canada, and he goes to her for help, and she's like, there's not anything I can do for you, like I'm not coming back to work for you. And then she was like, well, you could get married to somebody to stay here. And then he says to her, marry me, and it goes from there. This book is so long. It is a slow burn, and I had a good time reading this. I will say it was a little bit too long in my opinion, but I still really enjoyed it. I gave this book 4 stars. Then I listened to None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I don't have a physical copy. I gave this book 2 stars. I hated this book. This is a mystery thriller, and I will say in the beginning I was kind of like meh, and then once we got maybe like 50 pages in, I was so intrigued, and then the ending of this book just completely fell flat, and I said to myself, I feel like I read this book for absolutely no reason at all. Like, I feel like I wasted my time, and the ending just made me so angry. And I feel like this happens with like a lot of thrillers that I read, that it starts out really good and then the ending just really lets me down. So yeah, I did not like this book. I gave it 2 stars. And after I finished it, I had to just sit there and like stare at a wall because I was so angry. So yeah, I did not like that one. And that was my first book ever by this author. She has another popular book. I forget the name of it, but I don't know if I'm going to read that. Let me know if you like that book. I forget what it's called. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. But let me know if you like that book and if I should read it or not. Next, I read Wrecked by Lauren Asher. This is the 3rd book in the Dirty Air series. You are following Jax and Elena. And Jax has a bad image in, he's an F1 racer, and so Elena ends up like coming there to help him fix his image. And I actually really liked this book. When I was reading it, I said wow, because the first and the second book in the series I did not like at all. The second one I think I gave like 2 stars. The first one I think was a 2-star or 2.5 or something like that. So I did not like those books, and the only reason I read this one is because I owned the physical copy. So I said, well, I own it, I might as well read it. So as I was going, I was really surprised, and I said, wow, I might be giving this book like, it felt like a 4.25 star, because I was just really enjoying it. I was loving both of the characters. And when I first started this book, the first chapter or 2 had me like tearing up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a sad book. And it definitely was. Like, there were some moments in this book where I'm like, this book's gonna make me sob. But the 3rd act breakup really pissed me off. Like, there was something that Jax said to Elena that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I will say, like, he is going through some things, and I get that, but that is no excuse to, he said something to her that was just so messed up, and I feel like it crossed a line, and then it just wasn't brought back up again, and it just was brushed on. Like, they didn't talk about it, and I'm like, you're just gonna let him get away with saying that to you. And I don't know, that just really rubbed me the wrong way. And if I was her, I would not have forgiven him. I don't know, that's just me personally. So this book fell flat for me. I gave this book a 3.5 stars. I definitely did like it better than the first 2 books. Let me know if you read Redeemed. I don't own that physically, but maybe I'll read it on my Kindle, and that if I like it, I'll buy the physical copy. But I do see people saying that that one is their favorite. I just don't want to buy it and then end up not liking it. So maybe I'll just read it on Kindle, and then if I love it, I can buy the physical copy. I mean, I already do have 3 books in there. What's another one? I don't know yet. Then another highlight of my reading month, I read the final Heartstopper book that is out currently. The 6th one is supposed to be coming out this year, but there's been no release date, so I don't know. But I love Nick and Charlie so much, and I'm so sad that in October I have no new Nick and Charlie books to read, because I've read them all. They're just so pure and so wholesome, and the friendships in this book and just the bond that all these characters have with each other is just so heartwarming. And every time I read one of these books, I just am constantly smiling. And I just started the show, and I'm loving that as well. So I'm just really sad that I don't have another book to come back to, and I love them. Also, there is the TV blasting downstairs, and I'm getting annoyed, so let's hurry up and wrap this up. The last book that I read in September was the first book in the Zodiac Academy series. I'm currently on the 2nd book. I gave this book 3.75 just because I feel like I'm going to like some of the books in the, like, continuing on better than the first one. You are following Tori and Darcy, and they are twin sisters. They end up getting a knock on their door from this guy, and he says, you guys are actually two lost princesses and you need to come with me to Celeria and like come into the Zodiac Academy, which is basically like a school. So they do, and there are these 4 heirs, and they are so pissed off that they are here because they were supposed to be the people to take over, and now they're like, wow, the lost princesses have returned, they're gonna claim their right and it's gonna get completely taken away from us. So they hate them, and there's a lot of bullying that goes on in this. And if you don't like bully romances, I wouldn't recommend reading this because I don't think you would like it. Maybe give it a shot. But I actually was pleasantly surprised. I liked the plot. I love both of the female main characters a lot already. And yeah, I gave this book 3.5 stars, or 3.75, because I see myself liking the other books in the series more. The first book is always like not a favorite, I feel like, in a long series. So I really liked this, and I'm excited to continue on with my Zodiac Academy journey. I'm also really scared because I've seen so many people like bawling their eyes out. I know Larry Reed just finished the series and she was like bawling, and I'm just scared for that. But I'm excited to be back in a fantasy world, so I really liked this book. And yeah, that is it. All my books just fell over. Please hold.
One eternity later.
Okay guys, that is it. These are all of the books that I read in the month of September, plus one book that I don't own. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your favorite read of the month. My favorite one was Us Against You, or Heartstopper, of course. But yeah, that is it for this video. Let me put this pile down because it's heavy. That is it for today's video. I love you all so much. Let me know, like I said, your favorite reads, your least favorite reads. Let me know anything down below. We could have a little bit of a chat down there. I love you all so much, and I hope you guys are having a great day or night whenever you are watching, and I'll see you guys really soon in my next video. Bye guys.